Okay, we back again with chapter 4 for Architects 110. This is for Architect 110, remember. So because we have two classes, so that's why I just wonder you guys not confused between Architecture 110 and Architecture 113. This is one more time, this is Architecture 110 in chapter 4, Experience for Architecture School. In this chapter, they will discuss with you about the school for architecture and which one is the best one, which one is the one have a lot of students, and which one is value for all of you or some of you. So with me, I think that it depends from each people. If you have some kind like you really need take the major from architecture, with me, I think that's all of the school. They have some positive point and some negative point. Hope that you select more positive point concerned with your case before you register, or you select something is good for your situation. So that's why my recommendation for you is depend on many conditions before you select the school you can study. With me, all of the school have good, not really 100%, they have maybe 70 or up to 85%. So that's why the rest of 15% is belong to I don't think it's good for all of students. So that's why one more time, it depends on your situation, depend on which one you have, which one you're interested with that school, and you can select the school you follow like few more years in your future. Okay. So in the book, if you look at chapter number 4, I will discuss few of them in there. However, just friendly remind with you that we have some review question. Review question I set up very easy for you. It's usually less than 10 questions, and you need to answer the question, email back to me on the due date or on the weekend from that due date. How or where do you get the due date? You just open the last schedule and you can see that's the due date on the right column, and you just email me that day or the weekend from that day. Okay, so I hope that you understand, and if you have any question, just email to me and I will answer for the question. I just let you know that sometimes I have the phone in the campus, however just the message only because we're not directly on the campus. So that's why I don't think you need, because when you take the message, it takes long time I return for you. The best way, just email me, because I usually check the email regular few hours a day, and even on the night time on the weekend. Later, right now I planning to have the office hour and on of the weekday from Monday to Thursday and Friday after 6:30. You can email me that time, and it stay like 1 hour for office hour. When they approve it, that I will start from Monday to Thursday 6:30 to 7:30. If you have any question, just email me at that time. I will answer directly to you because this is my office hour. Okay, so now if we study about this chapter, a lot of people, they like to select the school, the famous school for the list school. For example, Harvard, some school they have architecture major. But with me, I think you should do research for make sure that that school they have the program and how many students have the comments for the school before you register, or you visit the school. You go to architecture department. Sometimes you feel interesting when you enjoy with that school, and sometimes not. With me, when I stop by to the school to visit the school, I thinking I will study there, but after I visit the first time, I feel I cannot be that student from that school. That's my personal only. So depend on you. If you have chance, you stop by to the campus at the school you plan to apply for, or you search on Google right now. On search, you hear a lot of comments from the student about the school, and or you can ask some people you know for the school. It may be help for you select the right school. You will learn 4 to 5 years for the program. This is the school I learned 30 years ago, California Polytechnic State University. California Polytechnic State University. We have two schools. They have the program for architecture. This is California Polytechnic State University, and the other one, you know, that's the California Polytechnic Pomona. Why I select the far school instead of the close school? Because at that time my instructor recommend me to go this school, so that's why I apply for this school, and they accept very early, and I'm there 3 years. Okay, another school is very good one. I also share with you that the Rice University, Texas. They also have the long history with the major from architecture. So this is one of the good school also. Virginia Polytech University is one of the school. They have major from architecture, and a lot of polytechnic look like the other school. However, this is the school. They have very good staff about architecture also. The Rhode Island is one of the school have the design for architecture and interior design. The other one is the Pratt Institute in New York City, private school, and it's not big. However, it have the major in architecture also. Auburn University also have architecture major. We have a lot of school with architecture major. However, some of the school they focus on design, some of the school they focus on construction management, some of the school they have interior and landscape one or urban design. So you need to search for make sure which one you like. For example, you like to design and you select the school with they famous on design. In architecture, if you like interior, you can select not much, but you can select for interior design school. Or you like urban design, you need to focus on or construction management, you select some school. They have a lot of major in architecture, but they focus on construction management. So depend on your selection, so you can search for that before you start to apply for. Texas, they have the school on 17. They have the best global university. Some of the global university they accept a lot of students inside from the nation and also in the nationwide. So that's why usually they have a lot of students, and of course that's the big school. They have 32 in the world. They have number 9 US and number 1 in Texas. So that's the famous school. Okay, so go back with our chapter. This chapter I will talk a little bit about something happened in your major for the first year, or some kind during the time you study in university. So the first year in the workload shock, the first year when you begin to design studio course with architecture course, it's so busy with you, because one of the projects we need to spend a lot of time to do, start from design until drawing, submit, and after that maybe you can do for the model. So that's why it takes a lot of time to do the course in architecture. Some of them you should be know that with the architecture major we have more time. If you compare with another major, maybe you spend more hours when you do a lot of things, drawing, especially drawing, cutting and gluing, just support for the drawing. But when you design and drawing, it takes a lot of time, because you not draw one of drawing. You need to draw like floor plan, elevation, section, roof plan, foundation plan, everything. You need to spend time for that one. So that's why it takes long. Right now, before 30 years ago when I'm studying, everything I do on manufacture. I use pencil, I use table to draw that, but now you can learn for AutoCAD or Revit architecture, it's help you to do faster because computer, and it's easy for you to delete, to create, to copy, something like that. Before, when I study everything, I do manual. So when I do the wrong line or something, when I drawing, I need to erase. And if you erase many times, the paper can be damaged. So that's why right now you have very good techniques and very good material for you use it. You don't need to spend a lot of time to do better. But I just recommend you, even you study AutoCAD, but you need to study about the manufacture also, because it have you more good knowledge on design before you start with computer. I give you one example. For example, one student, I give them one detail or one floor plan, they can transfer to AutoCAD so quick, maybe half an hour or 1 hour, something like that, with full of dimension and everything. However, they cannot create the design. So that's why when you learn from manufacture, you learn more about the technique or the knowledge from how you create the design, and how do you do, for example, you do the preliminary design before you start with develop from design. So that's why manufacture is the one you should learn, and after that AutoCAD one is support for the one you learn from manufacture. Okay, so that's why when the first year when you come in, you need to know how to management for your time. A lot of students, they study and they go to work, so that's why they need to manage for the time, for make sure. But in architecture, is one positive point is you study in studio. So that's why the class you can divide like 6 or 12 students, and each student have the room. So that's why you study on there. You have the key to coming to there. You can set up every time on your so the best thing is you need to management your time, and you can use the studio look like your second house, and you stay there at the night time. If you have the projects you need to do, you have research anytime. So that's why that's a good point for architecture major. And in architecture school, most of the nights you need to standing. If you have the projects due day or the final, wow, 3 day, 4 day, not enough. You need to stay in the studio at the night time. Why? Because maybe the daytime you need to go extra work or another class. Just the nighttime you focus on your drafting. So that's why the nighttime very quiet, and it's a good time for you can continue everything you cannot do on the daytime. So that's why no wonder a lot of architecture students, they stay in the studio all night, all day, because they want to finish some of the projects for the due date. Okay, so basically this is one of the corner from the room they allow you to do in here. For example, in the classroom they divide by 16 or 12, maximum 12 or 16 students in the classroom, so you can separate that by your own table, the wall panel, so you can put on of your products in there, and everything like your personal drinking or eating or some kind like material you use for drafting. You can save everything on your corner, and if you're sleepy you can lay down on the table and take a sleep. So basically that's the studio on architecture. So now with the architecture student, they not consider like this is the hard work or this is the hard major, because they're interesting with the major. But if you are not in the major in architecture, maybe you see that's architecture take a long time for study, and it's so hard major, it's so hard working, something like that. It depends, but with me I think that I'm enjoy when I'm studying until I'm working. So that's why everything look like it depends on each of you. So after you sleep, you can wake up and forgot everything, go back with your friend, or you can do change the air, take a shower, or continue to go do something. So that's why depend on you. You can manage your activity so you can study and you can working and you can enjoy your life. Number two, new value, new language. It's sometimes it happen for architecture major. You can see some people talk with different, not really much, but some kind like the new language. This one just used for architecture major only. And in there, in the first one, maybe it's hard for you. You're not familiar with that. But if you study like one semester or a few months, you can familiar with that. Even the structure. Communicate with the structure or the structure with the student, the instructor, that means the teacher with the student or the instructor with together. They usually have few new language for in architecture, so later you will familiar with that. It's nothing, not a big deal. So architecture, you remember this is the art and the science. The art is some kind you create for something is make the life be better. You can start to design something, you make another people enjoy the design, and it's more regard with the art one. It also have the science one. Why? Because in architecture you need to measuring, you need to calculation, you need to do technology is regard with physics, regard with the load. I mean a lot of math, not really high, but basically it's you a lot of math, physics, and another major to support for. So that's why you can say that architecture is combined between art and science, and because that's one. So some people working on architecture major, they have the mind look like not really stressful. They have some kind of peaceful and in the life. So it depends on the logic, the methods, and analysis, quantification. So architecture is like that. When student they beginning, they have a lot of conflict, confused about the design, about the activity about that. But I think that it's just like the first semester, and next time you feel familiar with that, you enjoy with the time you in the study with the major, you feel familiar with the studio, with the friends in the same major, and everything is good. And with me, the time when I'm studying in university for major for architecture, I enjoy that. Especially I like the weather, behavior, people with people, and the neighbor. So with me, this is a very good school when I study from that one. So in the book, you see sometimes they show you few of the funny picture, but they give you the message in there. For example, this one, they show you some people come inside from the new design from the architect. Each of them had different one about the design. However, it just lets you know that before you design one project, we have many conditions. We need to solve all of them in the unit answer. That means you need to show the design they can make very good for all of condition. So if you have very good design, but it's not work for the people use it, or it's not really close with the one they would like to design, that come not the very good design, not the best design. One best design, that means after you design, the people order for design, they enjoy to use it. And that's one, of course, it should be safety, and should be make another people come to the building when you design for. They feel, friendly, they feel familiar, they feel some kind of enjoy the space you design, and they enjoy the style you design. And of course, they feel very safety inside from the building. So with me, one design in architecture, if a lot of people like to use it, I think that's the best design with me, personal. Okay, so go back with us. We have student, they design thinking both sides in the brain, and after that they have the sound from invention. Student need to talk, need to discuss about the image, the shape, the dimension, the layer, so on. So that's why architects, one more time, is the art, and architect is the science, because they use a lot of way for the science calculation, and after that they need to create the design for the idea, for the good looking, something like that about the art one. That's the reason. So now if you go with why is it like this, let me see. Okay, so if you go with okay, it's good. If you go with the one on competition and create, I think that many students, they start architecture school, they never finish, like dropping out because they feel lack of attitude, or because the amounts of work is so much. About the design studio is some kind like discouraged for the most hard working student. That is some of the negative point from some student. They feel, not continue for the major, and some of them, they have respect to compete with another class in school. So most of faculty, they have the rating student work in architecture design on the curve, not the rate point. Depend on the critics, and some of the whom they have the standard as well as on the student. So for example, on of the class have 20 students, because it's a design class, so maybe less than 20 students. But if you have 100 point in maximum, or 50 point for low point, it's not really work well with the architectural student, because they spend a lot of time to do, but something if happen with them, they cannot finish the job, and they have very low point. At that time, we cannot say that they do bad thing, and we cannot compare with the student, they have very good one, because they spend all of the time for the projects. And you cannot say that's the high one, the high point, and the low point in this case. So that's why you use the curve. For example, 30 students, 20 students, but they have 10 of students is so low, and another one is like 5 students so high, and between them is on the medium one, not high, not low. However, you need to compare from how much they work in the course, and you need to go with the curve. For example, you can select the people up to A with a very high one, and after that in the medium you can select in the people what the B1 average, and not really much compare with the point. That means that you follow how hard they're working, and you select for the final grade. It's not much depend on the point when they get from the course. So you need to follow with the student, go with them, and know that's how much they spend time for that one, and you give for the curve one. So a lot as teacher for an architecture, they use the curve when creating for the student, more than just exactly the point they get on the projects, or the point they get from the midterm or the final, something like that. Another funny picture on the books show you two couple, and they said, oh, very good design, but what is it? They don't know the idea how architects show up on design. The architect is making some they confuse what is it. They know that's very good design, but they don't know what it is. For example, she said, oh, beautiful model, but what is it? Is it a house, it clean it, or the car wash? Because it's so messy, and The husband say, the label say an architectural ODE to U.S. Post Office. This is the post office. Can't believe it. It look like the storage from the garage. Okay, so finally, the grade one of the point for architecture student. A lot of students they graduate with the minimum for B3 because 1 to 3rd year they have a lot of experience for the design. So that's why if some projects they making for, it's a very good one, and it's hard for you can say they get C because they spend a lot of time from A to Z from the course. So that's why a lot of students got B, A, not C. In my history, I'm teaching in Cerritos, 8 years, and I didn't give any student F. D is, didn't happen. Like I have 1 or 2 students only when I'm start to teaching 2012, and the rest of them is A and B. C is some kind but not much, because if you study hard you do very good on quiz and midterm, and in presentation I usually give you A, and I compare with how much time you work for the class and how much activity for extra one. So that's why a lot of students on my course got skip final, because during the course I give a lot of the credits activity. For example, before in the campus they have attendance extra credits, and every lecture I have the question, just very short one for they can answer, and they got extra credit. And when they ask on of the credits for whole year, whole semester, they go over with the final. So that's why they skip final. They don't need to take final. So that's the good point for the student. And I think this last I give you extra credit sometime, and you can add it on for final. If you hit with that point, and you can skip the final. Okay, so that's in teacher, the student usually work in the team one, and for the projects one, you undertake for the certain on the phase. For example, you start with what phase? Some of the start, a lot of the instructor in the university, they want to have you on the first day only. For example, you start to figure out the topic in design, you research the book, and they give you some information about that. After that, you create the design, ask them about your design, they give you some instruction, and you continue to develop from design until final. Of course, every stage they help you, but just the very minor points. The main thing is you do home projects. They just give you some idea, look like the reference support, and the rest of them you do by yourself. Teamwork, sometimes in school have prepared for student on reality practice with the real projects. If you do the big projects, yes, you need to do by team, not by one. And when you go to the work after you graduate, when you go to work for the private company or any government agency, a lot of projects you work in the teamwork, because the project is the big one, not really small, look like residential. You design the house only, and after that you need consultant to help you to do an electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and the structure. Just the small projects, for example the house, and you need to do like that. If very small part of the house, for example the addition or some kind like ADU, like I show one lecture in there, even it is small area, you can design that, you can addition from your house, you can do very small one. However, something you need a consultant for structure, if you have some framing, wall, roof, something like that, or You can design for electrical, but you need some people help you on install from electrical one. So basically the team one is the one is go with you on the time when you work for architecture. Okay, when you work for the private team and some client they ask you to do, for example, they have a luxury house 2 stories, and you know everything about the design. You know how many bedroom you need to design, bathroom, living, garage, loft, office, something like that. You know how to design. You know exactly how to draw the detail for construction. However, you need some interior design to make sure the coloring inside and outside from the house. And also you need consultant for mechanical for HVAC system in the house, or you need the structural calculation. People they can calculation for the shear wall, the roof framing, the floor, the foundation, plus more. So that's why all of them is the teamwork one. This is some the picture for architecture. We have the purple color when you graduate, the purple color in the cap and in the walls here. And in this one, if you have the wall right here, so you have the master degree, and you put the castle and in the left one. The purple color is the color special for architecture major, and the black one like this. When I'm graduate, it look like this. So that's why I don't think it changed right now. It's same color. And some of the funny design, some people they design from from the model, and they put on the top one. I don't know how about other school. With my school, you can do like this for fun, and it just show on department only. On ceremony for whole of the school, you cannot carry this one. You just do like this one in the department only, architecture department. And when you go the main ceremony for whole university, you're not allowed to do that on my time. So now maybe change better. The culture community in architecture school. During the first year in architecture school, you will begin to sense that make sense, becoming the part from the school culture and community. I will tell you later. Most architecture schools are small, making it easy to get to know well for a large percentage of student and facility member 1 or 2 years. Architecture students spend enormous amount of time working together, day night, like I told you in the studio. Many school students spend weeks, months during summer and other semester traveling. This one very good point for architecture major, and study together abroad. So now I explain each of them for you. In the culture and community, because if you look at our US, you can see that many different culture and community, right? So that's why when you study architecture, you need to follow that also in design. I give you one example. For example, your client a Spanish, and they like to design like the Spanish style, and you need to follow that one if you want to get the project from that client, right? Community something. So that's why this culture community in architecture is happening in US is normal. Nothing, no wonder why. And about the time together, because I told you when you study architecture, you need to ready that you can spend more time compared with another major in the studio, because you need to drawing, you need to create a model, and you do a lot of presentation, animation. So that's why it takes more time than animation. And after school, many school you need to spend the travel. This is very special in architecture major. We have a lot of program. It's on summer or on the semester, for you can go to another country couple months, and after that you do research. You can start something regard with architecture, and you get the credit for that one. For example, you get 3 units or 5 units when you travel 3 months or 6 months for that program. And a lot of the program like this is well paid by department. So you have the scholarship for that one, you have fun for that one. So that's interesting, and a lot of students like to travel. The first one, they travel because the travel is very a good point from everyone, and after that they get the knowledge, they get the unit from architecture major, and finally the financial they cover for that. So that's why not, it's very good point for everyone. This is some of the culture. You look at the city, the Europe one, and this one, you know, that dragon dancing, this formation people on lunar year. If you know something about that, it's good design for some kind like community center. So this is some kind like the teacher for the student and the teacher, friendly work and social bonding. And we need to learn something happen in outside before you start with design. It's a good one for to help the student and also for the teacher when they teach. This is something more for the basic on derived from the passage. So on of education, if you have student attend typical usually review for oral, rapid presentation. If you learn for architecture, rapid a lot presentation, and you need to expect that the student concept verbally or engage in with the reviewer. When you design something, you should let the people know your concept on the design, and by drawing, by model, by anything you present, and they should understand the idea, the main idea you design. This is the main point from architecture. Many different students, they have the self-confidence, or they have about their work, the challenge to review, and they have a lot of change to show their stuff and discussion. If you remark on there, and you can go to reviewer for more focus by amusing, by some kind like you do not clear, and it make another people not know your idea in design. So that's why some students, they so scar, and they so shy in the lecture, they didn't tell anything, and they not communicate with another one in the student. That's not the good point. So if you have the chance to talk with the other one, it's a good chance for you learn something about behavior, and it's help you later for design, because in design communication is very good. If you know one people cannot know a lot of things, but 2 or 3 people give you some idea, you create a design better, and that's why it can be good if you work in team, not you alone, everything not do alone. So I think that's on for the design. For the chapter 4. Few of the students, they have faced with the choice or priority on design, and they like to review some happen, but they like to focus on assignment or exam prepare. Other than the course, it's not good. You need to balance. Even you take the architecture course and the other class, but you need to manage your time one more time. Which one you need to follow much than, of course, architecture course, it take more time, so that's why you need to priority for that one. However, you need to balance with another one, because another one also support for you in during the time you study in architecture design. So I suggest that even you have busy with your work, but you need to management. You need to manage which one you need to do first, which one you need to save for later. Because in the major, I think that you busy on the semester. Just you feel that how much you can do for your projects, and you can share the time for another one. That's the best way. Um, that's one thing I can think. I can share with you for this chapter, and I hope that if you select this one like the major, and you can see that this is the hard work, but teacher it work harder than you. So that's why teaching is the hard work, because it's the hard work. I think that's I don't know how about another one. With me, I try the best to understand my student, and I try the best to teach you. And I hope that if you have any question regard with design, construction, or some kind like regard with the government one in the permit plan checker, just let me know. I share with you everything I know about the major, about the way how to do, and I hope that you enjoy the class. Okay, so everything for the chapter 4 in the school, something you need to deal with the course, to deal with the school in university, and how you focus on the studio, how do you management your time with the school, and the rating from the school in architecture usually by curve, and it depends on economic reason. Some architecture students need to hold the job while attending school, and some students they have do for another one not related with architecture. Many reasons for the student can start to study in the major, and after that cannot graduate from the major. I just hope that when you do something, spend on the time with that one, and even you graduate or not, just thinking what you do on the time you study in there. I think it helps for you. Even you just start in the college right now, but if you focus on the design one, very small one, for example, you addition your house, you change your house, you remodel your house, you add ADU in your house, you do studio in your house, you thinking the trim house, something like this, is very positive point for you in the future, because every time you need to have the space for you can live, and this is the house. So after you study this one, I hope that you have the planning how to design your house by your presentation, or you can thinking the bigger one, for example, restaurant, business center, office center, shopping center, or office building, or medical building, something like that. Just thinking about that and what you can do, I can help you. Okay, in the course. If you have any question, just email me. Okay, finally, remember, review the lecture, review the question, answer for me, and email for me by the due date or on the weekend from that due date. Remember. Okay, I think that's all for today. And the lecture resource I post on the lecture on the Canvas. You open the files and you can see that the textbook, architecture, the third edition from Roche Lewis, or you can open my channel, Happy Life, True Life, YouTube, dash here, and H capital. So you can see I post on of the lecture over there, and on the Canvas, remember, on the files, on announcement, check email regular, and after that you need to follow the guideline from the class schedule. Follow that and you do. Okay, so lecture 4 done. Architecture 110, lecture 4, Experience Architecture School. And that's it for today. See you next time with the next chapter. on the next chapter lecture. Sorry, I feel a little bit sick today because it's the hot weather. It changed. It's so hot, and I'm not really. Try to listen to me. My voice look like so weird. Anyway, see you next time. Bye bye.